You know that feeling, right? When you're holding onto something so tight, an idea, a feeling, even just a thing, and letting go feels, well, it feels impossible. Turns out there's a powerful Pali word that gets right to the heart of this experience, upādāna. And exploring what it really means might just unlock why we do this and why it can sometimes hurt so much. All right, so here's our game plan. First up, we're going to decode what this word actually means. Then we'll dive into this amazing metaphor of fuel for the fire. After that, we'll look at what that unbreakable grip really feels like, especially when we get stuck on ourselves, on me. And finally, we'll see what it takes to find the real power in letting go. Okay, let's get right to it. To really get what upādāna is all about, we have to go deeper than just a simple definition. We've got to feel the physical action that's hidden right inside the word itself. So you'll often see upādāna translated as just clinging or attachment. And yeah, that's part of it, but look closer. It's also fuel. And that one little word, well, it changes everything. This isn't a passive thing, a noun. It's something you do. It's an active, powerful process. So let's pull the word apart. The first piece is upa. Now, this means way more than just near. Think of it as right up against or intensely close. It's about completely collapsing the space between you and something else until you're practically fused together. And then you've got the second half, ādāna. This means to take or to grasp. Simple enough, right? But here is the absolute game changer. It also means to take something as fuel. So you're not just holding on to it, you are literally feeding on it, using it to power your own engine. So let's put those two ideas together. Upa, getting intensely close. Ādāna, taking it as fuel. Upādāna then is this incredibly energetic act of grabbing hold of something, pulling it so close it becomes part of you, and then using it to feed your inner fire. So let's really dig into that image, fuel for the fire. It's such a brilliant metaphor because it perfectly captures the huge difference between just wanting something and actively, desperately clinging to it. The Buddha used this incredibly simple but, wow, really profound idea. Just imagine for a second that all that background noise in your head, the stress, the anxiety, that constant feeling of unease, imagine it's a fire. And, well, what does every fire need to keep going? It needs fuel. And this is where we see a super important distinction. On one hand, you have tanha, which we can call thirst or craving. That's just the wanting. It's seeing a log and thinking, that would be really good for my fire. But upādāna, that's the action. That's you reaching out, grabbing that log, declaring this is mine, and then physically throwing it onto the flames. See the difference? One is a wish, the other is an act of feeding. And when you keep feeding that fire, it creates this unbreakable grip. I've got a couple of powerful analogies that really help us feel what that's like. First up, the crab. So a crab spots some food. That's the desire, the tanha. But the second it snaps its claw shut on it, boom, that's upādāna. And here's the wild part. That grip is so absolute, a crab will literally let its own claw be ripped from its body before it lets go. The clinging itself becomes more important than its own survival. The grip is the suffering. Okay, want a more modern take? Think about your phone. You're scrolling, you see a cool new app, that's the desire. But that moment you tap install and blindly agree to all those permissions, that's upādāna. You've just invited it into your system, and now it's running in the background, constantly sucking up your battery, your memory, your resources, just to be there. So we get clinging to things, right? A crab to its food, us to our apps. But what happens when the thing we're clinging to is, us? Our beliefs, our opinions, our whole sense of who we are. What does it feel like to get stuck on me? You know what it's like? It's like Velcro. You've got these two separate strips, right? One's covered in little hooks, the other in little loops. And when you press them together, they lock in so tight, they feel like they've become one single thing. And this is the absolute key. The clinging, the upādāna, isn't that the two pieces are just touching. It's the resistance you feel when you try to pull them apart. That sharp ripping sensation, that is the pain. That's what it feels like when you try to separate a deeply held belief from your core sense of me. Okay, so if clinging is the fuel and suffering is the fire, how in the world do you put it out? Well, the answer is kind of brilliant in its simplicity. It's not about fighting the flames at all. Let's just walk through that chain reaction one more time so it's crystal clear. Step 1, a desire pops up.
That's tanha. Step 2, we grab onto it, we make it mine. That's upādāna. And step 3, that act of clinging shapes our reality, our whole existence, and that's what fuels the suffering.
Which brings us to this big, beautiful insight. Think about it. To put out a fire, do you really have to fight the flames themselves, or could you just stop throwing logs on it? We don't have to attack the suffering directly. We just have to stop feeding it. The solution is simply to release the grip, to stop the action of upādāna. And we do that by realizing that the fuel, the belief, the desire, the identity was never truly mine to begin with. The moment we stop feeding the fire, it just runs out of fuel and goes out on its own. So I'll leave you with this question. What fuel are you holding on to right now?